Welcome to the May 6, 2021 Board of Mayor and Alderman work session. I'm going to ask Alderman Small to say an opening prayer, and then we'll get into our agenda.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for every day. Thank you for our lying down last night and being able to wake up in this world this morning. Lord, we ask that you come and be with us today as we conduct this meeting, and as always, keep you in front of us as we conduct this business. We ask you to go with each worker for the city this morning and today, and watch over them as they do the city business. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. We'll get into our opening comments. First item is review of the April 8th, 2020 work session minutes. You should have those on your iPads. Does anybody have any corrections, additions, deletions? If not, we'll enter those into record. Next is item B, review of the 4/15/2021 budget work session minutes. Anybody have any additions, corrections, deletions? We'll enter those into record. Item C, review of 4/22/2021 budget work session minutes. Any additions, corrections, deletions? All right, all those will enter into record. Next, we have a request from Fayetteville High School coach Kenny Morrison. He'd like to come and speak Tuesday night at the meeting. I think he wants to bring something to present to the board. And so if it's okay with the board, we'll just go ahead and put him on the agenda. Okay, everybody? Okay. Well, excuse me. We'll get into the department reports. We'll start with Eddie Plunkett with Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Street lights around town, the controllers to all of them are outdated. FPU's give us a price. I think you have the price on your iPads. Order new and have in stock in case one goes out. At this point, anything that's going out is obsolete, and they're just piecing them together right now. And they would like to, I think there's 9 of them. They would like to order new controllers for them to put in.
And these are for the traffic signals.
Correct.
This came to finance the other day, and this would be a total of $24,000, or maybe a little bit over that, but it came with a recommendation out of finance. It's a situation where Mr. Dye came and said, if you had a situation where some of these parts went out at a key traffic signal, they don't have a spare part down there, and at the time it could cause a big mess. So if it's okay with the board, we'll carry this on to Tuesday night. Yeah. Next is tires. They're anticipating a tire shortage, and I've brought this to the committee, and they asked for a price, and I took it to finance. This is pretty much a year's supply. It's not everything. We had a few oddball stuff that's not on here, but this was the big majority of it. And we'd like to go ahead and purchase these and put them in stock and have them. With the COVID, the shortage, rubber tree shortage, and other things is the reason this has all come about. A lot of rubber has been used in the medical fields, so they're anticipating a shortage of rubber next year. And you know, if that happens, tire prices is going to go up, and here we will be. We may not even be able to get them. So if we can go ahead and get them now, I feel like we're going to save money. It ain't something that's going to just sit and rot away. We're going to use them at some point in the next year or so. And give a little explanation. You gave a little explanation in finance about that there's a normal process of when rubber tree plants are planted, and because of COVID, that skipped a year.
And flooding in Asia, the last 2 years have not been able to replant the trees. The trees are roughly 7-year lifespan, and they're 2 years out right now. So, and rubber comes out of a rubber tree is white. I don't understand it how it all turns black, but it does. But it's who knows, but they're saying it's coming.
Well, I
can say, I'm already seeing this. My son, we ordered tires last week. We were able to get 3 in, but we don't know when the other one will be in. They can tell us for sure. So I guess it's already happening.
So you're anticipating that the trucks and things that the department heads drive will be okay with this, and you'll be able to get them when you need them, because none of those are in this quote, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. There's a few in there, but very few. The department head trucks, you know, they last 4 years. Your police cars, you know, they go through those regular. And if you see on the list, there's several, there's 18 sets, I think. 18 sets of tires for them. So it's just a, you know, safety net for us. They're gonna go up. If we get them ordered pretty quick, we'll save a little money. We're just gonna have to find a place to stockpile.
And also, you told us that you believe that you've got a budget to take care of this. This won't,
Yes, sir.
this won't take a budget endeavor.
Yes, sir.
You believe it, you can handle it within
When
your
we put
budget.
them on for a department, they just reimburse us for, which, you know, there may not be many between, you know, now and the end of the year, whenever, budget year.
Well, Scott, since this isn't a budget amendment, do we need to vote on it?
That's what I was thinking.
I'm about to say, so basically, information for the board, and if something happens and we do have to make, then we'll do it.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so.
I don't see any reason why we even have to go any further with this. It's just,
I mean, just our approval, yeah, we approve of going ahead and doing that. Shortages are coming everywhere right now after a year, and things are getting out 6, 7, 8 months in all areas.
And I was in a conversation with 2 friends of mine that one worked at Nissan and Toyota, so I heard about it. They're anticipating it already. So, I mean, it just to have a conversation, and I got to research it, and that's how it come about. If they hadn't said something, I probably would be stuck next year with getting tires.
Sure. Sure. Any other things, any other reports? Any other questions, Mr.
Lowell
Blanchard?
Drive, we have the pre-construction meeting on it at 10 o'clock Monday morning. So it's getting underway. They'll set the start date Monday morning.
On the old Mulberry, the drainage issue, do we get that, is that done? Is that fixed?
No, sir, they're fixing to start it hopefully next week.
Okay. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions, thank you, sir. We'll go police, Chief Harold.
Police Department, this week they've got one shift that's in in-service training in Winchester. We partnered with Winchester Police Department. We did 1 week there. Week prior, we did a week here. So we are completing our in-service training this week. Will be complete to meet post-regulation. Other than Police Department is still, again, we're staying extremely busy. Been a busy week. That's all I have for the Police Department.
Any questions on police? We'll go to the fire department.
Fire Department, hydrant flushing is complete, pre-plan for businesses is complete. We're still working on completing industries. And we finally received a quote from Brindley Mountain on refurbing engine 2. That's all I have, sir.
engine 2.
Engine 2.
So you're leaning in the direction, instead of replacing, you're leaning in the direction of,
No, sir, I honestly, my opinion that is something this board would have to decide whether they would like to refurb engine 2, if they would look in the future about just replacing it. The quote on it was $141 refurbing engine 2, I believe.
Which would get you, which would, after the engine would be refurbed, I think it was said it'd be good for another 10 years, but you have other issues with engine 2 besides the engine.
Engine 2 is out of service right now. Engine 2 will probably be out for another couple of weeks. There's some, when we got to look at engine 2, it's had a problem for a long time. There's some welds in the very back of the rear end that's cracked. It has put the rear end out of line. We're having to take it back to Brindley Mountain so they can re-weld all that, line it up. We also, the other day, when they came in and serviced them, I think it had 17 gallons, if I recall, in the crankcase, which most of that was coolant. So it's leaking, you gotta figure out where at. That could be time consuming tearing it down or repairing it. But we still got other issues on top of that with it.
We discussed this in our committee meeting, and I think it's just to fix it and turn around and maybe sell it later, because I don't think it's gonna last. Even, I mean, it's something that's gonna have to get done whether we fix it or buy a new one.
What year is that model?
06, I think. Don't hold me to that, I'd have to go back and
We
look.
had constant issues with that one, but 98 one runs fine.
98 is one we're relying on right now.
There's no issues.
Right now, we're relying on it. It's kind of like Eddie's scenario. Our oldest one seems to be holding up better than your one.
Eddie's got an 80-something model, something down there. He won't, is it an 80-something model truck you got of some kind down there? What is that older truck? He won't get rid of it all.
I think we all need to go though. It seems like
We got a brand new one in last week that broke down.
Oh, the new one hit already? Wow.
But there again, that'd be a decision the board would need to decide. We just wanted to get the price together and know what we're looking for.
Well, we was told 2 years ago, we was told about a year ago to expect it within 2 years. So I'm thinking we're knocking on the door.
We got to keep in mind, if we order a new truck, this, like Eddie was talking a minute ago, you used to wait about a year. It's going to take about a year and a half to get a new one in here by the time they start the build process. So you'll be a year and a half out probably by the time you get it ordered.
Could be longer with the components that they're having issues with.
Sound like me, they get a purchase already.
It could be a problem with the components that they're having issues with.
It could be. I mean, typically they told me they'd take about a year once you order one. Well, this day and time, you're probably a year and a half out. That's the assumption.
I think the committee needs to bring a recommendation to the board to start moving on this.
I think by next month.
Hmm.
I think by next month we will be.
Will you? Okay.
That's
Anything else?
No, sir.
Any other questions on fire? Thank you, sir. We'll go to Parks and Recreation, Mr. Ira Thompson.
Want me to pick up Circle Drive first?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
There's about an acre and a half piece of property in the Creason subdivision on Circle Drive that the subdivision plats from 1958. It designates the property as a playground, but property was never deeded to the city, but somehow the city started maintaining the property probably decades ago. And the Parks Department had asked me to look into it. They'd kind of like to avoid having to continue maintaining it, either sell it or do something. But basically, when I looked at it, I mean, I've got a question about who even owns the property to start with, because we don't have a deed to it. Does the city own it because we've been maintaining it for decades? Do the developers, descendants own it? I did locate the living heirs of the Creason couple that developed the property back in the 50s, which is 3 great-grandchildren, one lady in Fairview, Tennessee, and a brother and sister in North Carolina. I sent letters to each of them. I've gotten a call back from the lady in Fairview. She was very nice. Said as far as she was concerned, they had no property left in Fayetteville, so she would do whatever needed to be done to recognize the city as owning this property now. So I came back to the rec department committee meeting this month, and I made a suggestion that if we're going to move forward with this, we probably need to have the property surveyed, which obviously there will be some cost with that. And potentially I could get the lady in Fairview to sign documents, and we might need to file a little lawsuit to deal with the people in North Carolina that haven't responded to it. So we had some potential cost to move forward with this, so the rec board suggested taking this to the full board to talk about that.
we went through this, you remember, John, was you, or was that Jim Herford?
I've looked at this in the past.
We've been through this before and hit the same roadblocks.
I think it's cheaper just to cut it and maintain it than to go through all those steps.
I'd rather get rid of it. Can't, you figure out a way to do it.
And I think if we're gonna do that, it's gonna have to be surveyed, because
Right.
what's there now doesn't look, is not the same shape of what's on the plat from 1958. And the plat was
Sure.
never amended. I think some of the surrounding property owners have probably encroached into it a little bit, and they carved a lot out of it that wasn't in the original plat, so street that's not where it was in the original plat, so what's there just, I don't think I can use the plat like we do, in contemporary stuff now, because what's there just doesn't match what's on that plat.
So do you need action by the board in order to fund the survey? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think the rec committee, just before we were gonna spend any money on it,
Yeah.
want the board's blessing on that, so.
Well, Scott, would that be something would be already in the budget, or we just did take action on it and do a budget amendment and have it surveyed?
Probably need to do a budget amendment.
Just have it surveyed?
Yes, sir.
I don't see a problem with that, y'all.
How much acreage was it, John?
It's about an acre and a half, I think.
Okay.
I feel sorry for whoever does the surveying. That's gonna be a tough survey. But, I mean, I think that's what we should do. We just go ahead and move it forward to the board and to do a budget amendment to have it surveyed. That's what we need to do.
What's everybody else okay with that?
I'm good with that.
Good with that.
Okay.
Acre and a half and sell it for some money. I mean, that's a good bit of land in the city. I mean,
Can you, but here's what I'm thinking, can you build on it? I mean,
I think it would be feasible to, it kind of has a skinny spot to it that, at that point, you'd probably just have to put a road through back to the deeper part of it that's widens out.
There's a high-pressure gas line runs through there somewhere,
It's kind of on the south end of it.
south end of it.
Yeah.
But it's only a 30-foot easement. I mean, that don't, there's people building on that easement already, so.
yeah.
And I think you could, if somebody wanted to put 2 or 3 duplexes kind of
Yeah.
on the north end of it,
Yeah.
that's probably feasible.
Yeah, Tell you what, it's not on the tax rolls right now. I don't guess, is it, or is it?
It's, the tax rolls indicate that the city owns it.
Right, so we're not getting anything off of it. If we
Anything
can,
for it, right.
if we get it back on the tax rolls, we get something off of it, especially if somebody builds on it.
And I think if ultimately we sold it, we'd at least recoup the cost of surveying it,
Yeah,
whatever.
and hopefully somebody maybe build on it. Is it residential zoned, I'm
I'm
assuming?
sure it is.
Would have to be because it's residential all the way around it. I'd say we just move that forward and do whatever we need to do
Are you
Tuesday
do
night.
that? Okay, we'll move that forward to Tuesday night. Good morning, Mr. Thompson.
Good morning, good morning. All right, so you probably gonna hear me say this meeting and the next meeting, but May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I absolutely encourage everyone to meditate, get out and walk in the parks, take a little time for yourself, have a mental health awareness day for yourself. And I encourage everyone to do that, all right? So this month is absolutely helping everybody. With 2020, everyone had some mental health problems, just sitting in the house, whatever it was. So take that time for yourself, all right? I have on here what happened. Whoa. I was going to have a mental health. I didn't know what's going on right there. But
I'll tell you what it is, one of them old sorry covers they gave us.
So we started soccer. Soccer season is May 1st through June 5th. That first day, we had we had one little issue we squared away just with the fields and teams playing on different size fields. Squared that away. Today we're actually getting a field made for those young people. Softball, we had draft day April the 26th. That went well. We have a few great coaches that came back. Baseball is going strong. That's what we had. What happened. We also got another staff member in that is going to be, well, start with us today, actually, at 8 this morning. He started. He's going to be doing our plumbing, our electrical. He's going to be doing all the fixes. Right now, the first thing I've told him this morning, I've texted him already, told him to start on lights and look at all our electrical and different issues that we have with that, with providing that safety and security for people when they're out in the parks and stuff like that. So I told him to already start on that this morning to look at that for me. What's happening? Softball players and coaches, they're up and moving. We've got all the teams, they're practicing already. Their season is May 15th through mid-June, depending on weather and stuff like that. Pool prep. Well, let me start off. We're prepping the pool. We found we have a few little equipment that's down that we have to replace. That right there would be that second sheet, I believe, that's in there from Duffield, as well as one from Burleson. We just need the machine that actually controls the chemicals that go inside the pool. That right there is what we're looking for, but I believe that it was suggested that we just go ahead and get the whole package, since that's what's needed right now to have the pool up and going. We have a tentative day to open the pool of, let me make sure I have this correct, May the 28th. We haven't put that out to anyone. You're the first ones that's going to be hearing right now. That's going to be our tentative day right now to open the pool, is May 28th, considering that we get that equipment in and it gets installed correctly and we have everyone. Lifeguards, we have a lifeguard training. I set up one that's going to be May the 14th through the 17th. We're going to be putting out a flyer for that. We're having a company come in called ProCert. They're going to do that, as well as we're talking to them about doing our lifeguard, our swim lessons. I have been talking to FAST. I'm trying to get FAST to come together. I've had 2 or 3 different people saying that to sit down and talk to me or to email me, so I'm trying to get that squared away so we can have FAST up and moving. They have a few different meets that they want to do at the facility, which I've already okayed. We just got to get to make sure we have everything ahead for them. Let's see, we have classes. We have started, last week I had a great week with recreation classes. I've called a few people. Like I've said before, I am in other cities that I've worked in. I've heard about other fitness facilities shutting down, and I know that those trainers and those people want to train somewhere. So I heard that Patrick was shutting down, so I put it out there. Anybody who want to train and continue their classes, they can come over to the rec center. So we've had a lot of people call about that. We had a was Dance to Fit class Tuesday. The first class, we had 12 people in there. So that right there was something big. We have a class today as well, the Dance to Fit. Of course, we still have clogging. We have the line dance class, or no, square dance class that starts next week in the facility. We also have someone who wants to do yoga Pilates. It's yoga and Pilates put together. It's not meant for me, but maybe Scott wants to join. Mayor wants to join that class. We have yoga as well. We have a few different people who want to teach yoga. We have gentle yoga. We have regular yoga. We also have a HIIT class that wants to come in. We have to get mirrors for the HIIT class because you want to be able to see yourself when you work it out, when you dance, whatever. HIIT is high intensity interval training. So we're going to be having that class, trying to get some people sweating, trying to get some people to make something happen, as well as we're trying to get a little walking group to go around in the parks. So we're trying to get that up and going. We are painting. We just started painting yesterday. We are doing grage. So don't come by yet. Let us get a little bit done, and then I want you guys to come by and see what we're going to do. Try and modernize it a little bit. So getting that up and going and started. We are improving our concessions, not just our concessions, our selections, what we're going to be offering. We're also in trying to improve our facilities. We're trying to go a little bit stainless steel, trying to take a lot of the wood out, especially at Don Davidson. There's a lot of that wood that's down there is no good. So we're trying to take that out and trying to put in just a little bit of stainless steel, keep it as minimal as possible. As well as we're going to the air fryers, instead of all the electrical stuff, having 15-year-olds making hamburgers and all that stuff with that. We're just going to do air fryers. They're working right now. We're utilizing Sundrop, and we're utilizing another company that's going to be bringing in all our food. It just slipped my mind that quick. I was talking to him yesterday. Palmer's. Yeah. So we're utilizing those two people to bring it in, as well as we have a cooler, not cooler, we have a vending machine that's in our facility, Coca-Cola, that I called Coca-Cola. They said they never knew it was in our facility. And so they're trying to get someone down here to get that out. We don't know if it's drinks in there. We don't know if they just said it's been in there for years and no one knows anything about it. So trying to get that out, trying to get a sun drop machine in there so we could actually have waters. And Palmer's used to sell armor, but they body armor, but they don't do it anymore. So we're trying to get some Gatorades and stuff to sell for classes and things like that. Let's see what else I have on there. I forgot my iPad. We have what's happening. We fixed the potholes at Don Davidson, thanks to Mr. Eddie and his crew. Appreciate that. They also fixed the curve that was right there on the side. I was told that we need to absolutely try to get some type of drainage system or something in there in the next year or so, or a little bit of time, or it's going to keep on eroding right there and causing an issue. So we're going to be looking into that. Also with Don Davidson right now, what we did, I've contacted, I was contacted by Home Depot. Chris, the previous director, contacted Home Depot and had something working with the Home Depot where they would be providing everything we need from one vendor. They've worked it out so far. So right now we have paper towel dispensers that are coming in right now that we're going to put in each bathroom. The dispensers are free. We're just going to get the bulk where we can put 1,200 paper towels in one slim container. We're just untouchable. You just pull your paper towel out. We're also right now, if you've been in our bathrooms, you see that we have a metal pole. We have toilet paper rings on those metal poles. We're getting rid of those. We're actually doing the jumbo roll toilet paper that'll cut down on the need to change it, and people taking that toilet paper and doing whatever they're going to do with it, and you can't touch it. We're putting those in each one of the bathrooms and all the parks and as well as in the facility. So we're working on that right now. They're working on us with that. Like I said before, the pool opening has a tentative date of May 28th. We're trying to put that together and make sure that is going to be a date, because depending we have that equipment we need. The parks and the facility improvements. We spoke before, and I know that it was a big thing on social media about our kids' playground. Myself, my maintenance men, and Mr. Scott went out there and we taped the slide off, taped the entrance of the slide off. We put something up there. I guess some little kids went there and ripped everything off and still was utilizing the slide, everything. And so yesterday we had a little call to us about the slide, so we went back out there and redid it again, put something in the entrance to make sure. I called the company Miracle and made sure that they had that piece that we ordered on the way. They said that it was supposed to be delivered the 13th, but now it won't be delivered the 31st, till the 31st. Everything's being pushed back 4 days for delivery with everything. So we're waiting for that piece to be here and be installed, as well as we're looking at putting new chains out there. So we won't have just the regular chains out there. We have their chains with the rubber coating on. So that's right, there's what we have up and going right now. That is all I had.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sure you can ask the same thing about the pool.
Same thing, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, are we going to have this controller to actually open the pool?
Yes, sir. Right now, we don't know. Let me just put it this way. There's a box. So there's a control box.
Right.
And we have acid and we have chlorine that we put into the pool. Right now, that control box, both of those machines are supposed to be plugged into that control box. That control box tells us what's being pumped in the pool. It turns it off when it has enough, turns it on when it needs more. It gives us a printout of how much was used, all that. Right now, that machine is not working, and someone has unplugged it from that machine and plugged the two chemicals directly into the wall. So with that, there's no regulation on what's going into the pool right now. It's just being pumped non-stop into the pool.
Well, my question is also,
Yes, sir.
have you checked to see if this part is available?
Yeah, I called, actually after our conversation Tuesday night, I called him and asked him, hey, if we order this, if we're gonna have it right now? He said, as soon as it's okay, I'll order it. He was like, when it comes in, he was like, we can put it in. He said that right now, he doesn't see a problem with having it in before the 28th and having it installed by the 28th.
If we vote to do it,
Yes, sir.
using that, it should be enough time.
Yes, sir. That's what he told me as of Tuesday. So that's what he told me.
So you get this part in.
Yes, sir.
The upgrades that we've talked about, and I think we can go ahead and do these upgrades, but they could probably be done later if we had to, maybe, if it held up, open the pool, or would you do them all at the same time?
Like we said, I know you suggested that we do it all at the same time.
Right.
But right now, I'm not gonna shoot myself, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot a little bit, but, just to be honest, we just need the one machine on the wall right now.
To get the pool going.
To get the pool up and going right now. The tabs, the chlorine tablets, that can be put in whenever.
Okay.
But we just need that one machine right now that lets us know. And we might, the water leveler, that would be good to have as well. But we also can eyeball the water and know where we need to let water in and we need to let the water out.
I guess what I was thinking when I suggested to do the whole package.
Yes, sir.
That pool is 7 or 8 years old, I'm thinking. And I've had a pool at home, and I know them parts wear out. I put in 3 different pumps, put in filters, and I was just thinking that if we can, I think we need to go ahead and do the whole package.
Yes, sir.
Because I didn't like the idea of that truck coming in every 2 weeks, put chemicals in, all that kind of things. That don't sound too good. So anyway, I'm just hoping that everything can get done in time to hit that date to open it up.
Yes, sir. And that's why I told him. I told him that as soon as we get an okay, if we get the okay, that chemical leveler needs to be the first thing that's ordered, and we need that in pronto.
Yeah.
You know, we need that squared away like the first thing. So I talked to him about that.
So someone's going to do the installation.
Mr. Neal, that face you see on the paper, he is absolutely going to do the
And
installation.
the electrical part or plumbing part, if there is an electrical and plumbing part, I'm sure that you have someone do that. Or
Yes, sir.
we hire someone or whatever. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We had we had a few great candidates put in their resumes for our recreation coordinator position, and a few of the people do have pool operating backgrounds and certifications.
Good.
And so that right there absolutely will be able to be maintained by that person.
Okay.
So that's something that is going to be big for us.
I'm not surprised that a pool at that age has got parts begin to wear out. I'm not
Yes, sir.
surprised.
Yeah, the gentleman, like I said, the gentleman who put the pool in, Brian, he's from Burleson. He's the one that came in last Friday, and he said a lot of the stuff hasn't been changed or hasn't been touched since he put the pool in.
Yeah.
So he's like, and a lot of stuff that he's telling us that he suggested as well as we needed was stuff that he suggested that we needed when it first got put in. And he said that, you know, just it was sent off to a different vendor and someone else put that one in. So it's just now just kind of making sure.
Catch up.
Yes, sir.
It'd probably be good with a pool to have it looked at every year.
Yes,
on
sir.
an annual basis, have it inspected.
Yes, sir.
Looked at.
But right now, we're not 100% sure we can open it up that date yet. Are we still looking at the
If we
crack?
get the machine in, then that's why I say it's a tentative date, because right now I want to, I'm pushing for that date, the 28th. But if this machine does not come in, this equipment doesn't come in, and it doesn't get installed, then we'll probably have to push that date back. But as soon as we get it in, it's as soon as we're gonna be like, hey, let's get it in and let's get the pool open. That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Did we come up with the 2 bids for
Yes,
just
sir.
in case the crack?
Oh, the crack, he hasn't been able to come out to the crack yet, because we have to actually get somebody inside the pool and clean that up. There's a crack in the pool to the left side of the opening of the slide, right there in that corner. There's a crack there. He wants to make sure that it's not a structural crack, and wants to make sure it's just to the liner. So we have to get in there and clean that pool up, clean it up the inside, take the leaves out, clean it a little bit, so he can dive in there and check it. As of right now, when he went and looked, he didn't see any bends and any of the grates, you know, he didn't see any bends or anything like that. So he said he's hoping and very confident that it's not in the structure of the pool, it is just in the liner.
Well, that's what led to this pool, was a leak.
So if it's just, I'm sure that's repairable.
Yes, sir. If it's in the liner, it's repairable.
And we spoke in finance, you stated that, we have Duffield and Burleson.
Yes, sir.
And there's a difference of about $1,000. And basically, though, if we went Burleson, they're going to order from Duffield. So that's really more like a little bit of a, an add-on administrative fee. And so you recommended the Duffield.
Absolutely. And Burleson, Brian from Burleson, well, when Neil came down, Neil looked at all the equipment and he says, oh, I sold Brian this, I sold Brian that, I told Brian to put this in, and he looked at the machine on the wall, he was like, I did not tell him to put this machine in, he's like, I can't even touch this machine. So then when Brian came in, Brian looked at it and was like, oh yeah, I bought this from Neil, I bought this from Neil, I bought this from Duffield, this right here, I did not tell them to get this right here, but they got this machine. So everything comes from Duffield, because Burleson is Alabama and Neil's in North Carolina. Well, he's out of North Carolina, but he lives here, so he is always down here. So it's all bought from Duffield.
So the recommendation is to take the 13,738 to Tuesday night.
That's my thought.
Is that the board okay with going to that?
That's what we're,
Okay. What I was going to talk about was a different situation, because you started out talking about lights and electrical. So the higher baseball field at Kids Park, Scott and I are coaching the older age division, so when our game's in, it's dark. The lights by the pool in that parking lot, are they operational? Well, we need to have those on at night, because once you turn the lights off at the field, it's just pitch black. It's hard to see in that parking lot. So we just need to coordinate on during the baseball season.
Correct.
And swimming, if we have any swimming pool parties at night, to have those lights on.
Where I come in Lewisburg, we had our pool lights on all the time, and we had to get them really, really bright so you can see, just for safety issues. The lights that are around the facility, I remember Tuesday, Mr. Eddie was saying that the lights were 30 years old that he had. A lot of our lights are, if not the same, older. So there's little to low light being put out. So even I asked FPU to come in and put another light, an LED light in the back there that would shine on that parking lot behind the baseball field. They haven't did it yet, but I know they're going to get it done. We can have both of those lights, as well as putting lights on the bathrooms, as well as redoing the lights that's out there so they can be LED, or at least they'll be bright enough that we can have that. I also talked to Outlook Link last week about coming in, where they actually came in and looked at our baseball facilities at Don Davidson and right there at the Kiwanis baseball fields, and actually putting our lights on my cell phone, or on whoever's cell phone, recreation coordinator cell phone, that they can turn them off and on. When we know that last game is over in the field, they can turn them off so they're not on all night, and we can control them. It's not left in the hands of anyone else to control them. He said he could do the Kiwanis Park, and he's going to send me a quote on that, but he absolutely said he will not do Don Davidson. He said because we'll end up having to buy a new box every time it floods. And I asked him if we could put it up higher. He said no, we'll be paying $1,200 to $2,500 every time it floods to get a new box put out there. So he said he can do the Kiwanis Park, but he couldn't do the other park. So we are absolutely looking at the lights. That's something that has that, safety, security that I want to make sure we have squared away for each park.
Any other questions, Mr. Clark?
that's it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We'll go planning codes. Ms. Gentry's, I think, in class. Number one, vehicular directional signage. This came to us last month. The board had some questions about whether there would be, they were requesting information from TDOT. TDOT has gotten back, as our understanding, this came back to finance. And the fee of the $39,067 for the 7 signs is the appropriate cost, not to exceed. So if it's good with the board, we can take it to Tuesday if there's any discussion you'd like to have on it. There was a difference in some color. Basically, it was we had to limit the red. Couldn't use red at all, could we?
No, sir. Had to eliminate the red color and also the big orange color.
Correct.
Orange color, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure that was.
He just can't help himself.
Now, this is tourism.
Yeah, it comes out of tourism, correct? Yes, sir. All right, we'll carry this on Tuesday. Next, at Planning Commission, they came out, Planning Commission recommended to call for a public hearing of rezoning of 1107 Hedgemont from R2 to C3. That is the old Stonebridge Academy property. This at the moment is just a public hearing that we would vote on in May for, the public hearing would be in June. And so there's no action on the board at the moment to do it, so any discussion? Everybody good about carrying this on Tuesday?
And this is just for the call for the public.
That's
hearing.
correct, and the public hearing will be in June.
Yes.
Next, administrative revision, Article 6, 14610H5FI, page 6, 119 of City of Fayetteville, Tennessee zoning ordinance. This also came out of Planning Commission. This is just basically a correction of a page number. Is that correct on the small book?
That's correct.
So there's nothing substantive besides that. But as a board, we need to carry and vote on that to make that change. Everybody good with moving that? Okay. Amendment of City of Fayetteville permit fee schedule, Mr. Batchelor.
I know some of you have heard this several times, but I'll quickly go over first just to present how we actually calculate our building permit fee schedule, and that there are two different types of fees. There's the zoning and building, and this one is specifically for building permit fees. So the way that we calculate our building permit currently is that we have a formula for new construction, and then we use a valuation table for alterations. And in this request to amend Title 12, Section 12102 of the Municipal Code, what I've done is work to clarify how the table of valuation is applied, as well as place into the and simplify the formula for new construction, calculation of permit fees, and then lastly, just add in permit fees that were not in the original code. So I wanted to highlight, there were, at the finance meeting, I requested adding in another section because I had a number of other types of permits, special types of permits that came in that wasn't in my original document a few days ago. But I also wanted to highlight that I did change the title as well of Section B in this iteration of it. I added a little bit more language to how the table of valuation is applied, where it wasn't found in the previous one. And then I also added a reorganized letters J and K. J has to do with the special permits such as blasting and cell towers. And then K, which was originally J in the previous iteration, has to do with reinspection fees. But in determining or making these changes, I did the bare minimum possible changes. The table of valuation was always in the previous, it was in the previous code, which was 2006 is when it was adopted. So there was no change to the actual table. And there were only the changes that I specify in my summary of changes and justification document that was included with this particular permit fee schedule. But I did compare other jurisdictions comparable to Fayetteville, and our fees are very much in line with other jurisdictions of the same size, same median income. So.
And we spoke, and this came out of finance, we recommended this to go forward to change, and Mr. Batchelor did a great job of going through and explaining it and cleaning it up and making it simpler, I think, and using comparable other communities of our size to base his analysis on.
Yes, and if it, if it's the preference of the board, I can provide that documentation as well in the next, in the actual meeting. So, if there's, because I think it's important to, that the public who will be using this schedule to determine their permit fees, that they understand as well. So,
I think the industrial board needs to have this information.
yes.
So the industrial board, the industrial board director had raised the question about our fees as compared to other places.
Yes.
So I told her, we'll take a look at it, we'll find out. So
Yes.
you've done it, so.
And I think one of the things to understand, and I have it within my documents, is that as the city size, the population grows, the classifications are, that's where it starts breaking down into additional fees. And you'll see, like I compared it to larger cities like Murfreesboro and even Nashville, you'll see higher zoning fees that there's add-ons. That's a good way to put it, is there add-ons. So where our zoning fees tend to be lower, and then our building permit fees tends to adjust for it. So.
Everybody good to take this Tuesday?
I just wanted to say that I was contacted on this, and I've discussed this with Tom too previously, and the industrial board director and the business owner had questions, and the formula was so complicated and wasn't exactly right. So, but they couldn't get a good answer on this. It couldn't be explained to them how it was calculated and why, and things had happened in the past. So I appreciate you working on this and getting this in a more simplified manner. We talked several times and have been working on this a couple of months. So I appreciate that. And it is for the public, because while we might understand, sometimes they don't. And it's easier to explain to them if it's a simpler calculation, and it's all written down here. So I appreciate that.
Yes, and one of my continuing initiatives on at least with the fees is to prepare a simple Excel calculator that can be loaded on the website, so that you punch in your valuation and it spits out what the fees are. Or it calculates, I should say spit out, but it calculates the fee. So that another way to make it clear and user friendly.
And it's not a sticker shock when they get here to get the permit. If it's on the website and they can kind of, like you say, key in some numbers, they
Sure.
kind of have an idea.
Sure.
And there may be additional things that have to be added, but at least they're in the ballpark.
Yes.
So I appreciate your work on this.
All right, we'll carry this to Tuesday night. I will just highlight, you have on your iPad a report from Ms. Gentry, but the home grad application is due May 14th. Ms. Lennis Hyde's working diligently with Tia Lockridge, Director of Housing for South Central Tennessee Development District, to get the application completed. There's a property maintenance article on the front page of this week's Elk Valley Times to educate the residents about the regulations centered on property maintenance. This is the first of several articles that Ms. Hyde and Mr. Batchelor plan to draft in hopes of expanding education to everybody from our planning codes department. All 16 of the planters are back downtown. Ms. Hyde did a great job working with the greenhouse and horticulture students at the high school. They not only grew the plants, but assisted her in planting and placing the planters around the downtown area. Let's see, we also had Steve Chandler and his team are putting the final touches on the tourism website for the city. Plans to have it completed in the next week. And Fayetteville Burger Week was a big success last week. Social media campaign, 6 local restaurants and their unique burgers participated with Signature Sweets, did a little something, and we had judging by Randy Delap, Ricky Honey, and Bill Hopkins, and they couldn't decide, so they left it to the public to decide. So, anyway, that's the report. So unless there's any other questions on planning codes, we'll go to IT.
Thank you, Mayor. IT department has no new items to bring forward to the board. I'd just like to report on what we've been up to this month.
Sure.
We've been revamping the ShopKeep point of sale systems for the concessions. We've got all the ballparks fitted with their point of sales. We have 2 remaining for the pool, but it's not a pressing issue at the moment since they're still waiting to open that up. But we had replacement brackets made. We actually got those in this morning, so we actually can put in the 2 ShopKeep systems at the pool right now, so we're ready for that. We continued upgrading our access points, our Wi-Fi access points in all city buildings. Public Works was the last remaining one, so after that, all Wi-Fi is now back in support. We can now make changes to them again. The iPads, as you know, we try to do something different with putting the committee reports on the iPads for call to order. So I was requested to get 5 additional iPads to make available for all the department heads. We've done that. We also purchased new screen protectors for the ShopKeep point of sales because they've been used for a while. They were bubbling up on the edges, so we replaced those, made them look cleaner. The police department had a computer that power supply died on it. We found a replacement on Amazon for $30. It was a quick fix. Got that done. Parcel data and the Municity software that planning and codes use. I'm still waiting on Johnny to do what he does best and figure out what we're going to do about that situation.
About the parcel data?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Johnny, you have any comments on the?
I guess since our last board meeting, I have had a meeting with the county attorney, the county mayor, the property assessor, and another member of her department. And basically, we certainly didn't come to an agreement coming out of that meeting, but they were going to do some further investigation, talking to the former property assessor and another former employee in that office, and just kind of get a better handle on the history of what we had done with this. And they're still tying this to that Municity agreement,
FLGIS agreement,
limited term agreement that we had. So
right, but then you think about what about before this agreement when we never had this issue before.
And I spoke to the county attorney, I'd say within the last 2 weeks at least, and he said he was still working on it. And I said, you know, this isn't going away, so we've got to get this worked out. So we're just bear with us, and we're trying to get something resolved here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jones. As Planning and Codes reported, Steve Chandler is working on the tourism website. I've been working with him. He had a couple issues with creating new pages, and I helped him out with doing that. So now he and his associate, May Lynn, are adding some content to the tourism website right now. I actually put a few just previews at the bottom of my report. And I've been working on the city website. I've noticed some stuff with our calendar not showing events and their true times, and there was an issue with repeating events not showing on the calendar at all, but I've actually got that working now. Finally, our email migration. I actually had a conference call yesterday with Nicole, who manages our account, and the plan right now is on next Tuesday, we'll begin the migration to COF-TN. Mm-hmm. And she said during the initial process, they'll move over the past 30 days of emails onto this new one. And during that time, so just to make available just the most recent emails, but everything will be carried over to the new emails once it's finished. That there'll be no downtime with email.
Okay.
That's all I have to report.
I have something, I've got something, I don't think it has anything to do with you directly, because you can only put on there what you know.
Yes, sir.
You know, that's all you put on there. But this is something that, y'all been hearing me talk about this for years. But unless something's changed in the last few days, and you can go on the website on the committees, the people that's on the committees. Unless there's something changed, just take the Federal City School, for example. Still got Ms. Edie and Ms. Saber on there. It doesn't have any updates on Mr. Tom's dates. None of that's been updated. 2 new board members since last November. None of that's been updated. I've turned in a written piece of paper with all these changes on it 2 or 3 months ago. Nothing got done. Apparently you never got it.
No, sir.
Mr. Ron Mayhall, still listed on the Airport Authority. Mr. Ron passed away. Mr. McCann still listed on some kind of law enforcement committee that I don't even think is even active anymore. He's probably been passed away 10, 15 years. And there's other, I'm just thinking what's the, my mind right up here now. There needs to be some way. Someone needs to be responsible for getting information to IT, so when these committee things changes. I think Russ Dixon, I believe, stepped down off of the IDB. Still on there, still listed. And there's probably more that I'm not thinking about. Quite frankly, over the years, I've brought this to the attention of the administration over and over and over. It doesn't get done. So that tells me 2 things. That tells me that the information is probably not getting to IT to do, probably not. But it's not my job to tell you directly. It's only my job, if I see something, to go through administration, because I don't deal with employees directly. Quite frankly, I'm tired of bringing this up over and over and over, and nothing getting done. And I think it falls on the administration above you, but it's kind of bad when people goes on our website and there's people left on that website on these different committees. If you look at the library board, almost all the ones listed on the library board is not on there anymore. Well, there's a list of the new ones, because I saw it, because of most of the new ones, and I'm not complaining to you, I'm just saying this is not getting to you. If you look on the library board, almost all of them's new, or different from what's listed. Well, we just got their meeting sent to us on the iPads, and it's got all those new ones on there that was at the meeting, right there in black and white. It came through administration. I didn't intend on bringing that up today, and I know that this information is probably not getting to IT as it should, as these changes gets made, as we vote, we vote on these changes and all. Someone needs to be responsible for getting that information and getting that website updated, because an outdated website, got people on there that's been deceased for years, is not acceptable. And I'm tired of bringing it up and not getting anything done about it. Somebody needs to fix it.
I know there were talks about getting a list to me.
Right.
I think it's just been I know Pam's been having to do HR, and she's kind of been held up with that, but I would say this will be addressed. I can promise that.
Well, the information needs to get to IT. And if you got it in front of you there in black and white, I don't see why it should take 2 months, 3 months, 4 years, or whatever to get to IT to update the website.
No, sir. If I have the information, I can.
If you get the information, I don't know anything about these computers, but I mean, it's very much, but it's a simple matter to go in and make those changes. If you get the information, and I'm not fussing on you at all, I'm just using this opportunity to bring it up to fuss on somebody else. Thank you.
Any other questions, Zach? Thanks, sir. We'll go to finance. We have Mr. Eddie Keys here. Item number 1, FEMA grant procurement. Okay. Mr. Keys and Mr. Eric Jones came to finance at our meeting to speak about So you, 3 proposals that were submitted, and you selected one out of the 3 to handle your contract management of this project.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Thank y'all for having us. Please excuse Mr. Jones. Y'all probably heard he had a death in the family, so he had left it kind of with me today to clarify anything. If you have any questions to answer, the key idea is we put the request for proposal. This is kind of our initial step to get our team hired, to get this thing built. We're going to hire a project management group that will manage the FEMA side of the grant, along with construction and the day-to-day processes of building the grant. We had 3 very qualified companies put in bids. Probably all 3 could get the project done for sure. As we graded these things and looked at the rubric, one of the companies did stand out with their experience specifically with building these domes and the FEMA side of it, and that's Broadus. They are based out of Houston, Texas, but they have regional offices. I think the closest to us is in Tupelo, Mississippi, and they are heavy hitters in the FEMA dome specific industry. If you have any questions, we can answer. We tried to make sure that the key thing was we wanted to follow the procurement methods for the city of Fayetteville, for the city schools, and for FEMA. And so going through that, I think we went over and beyond to make sure that we covered every base to get this done correctly.
Essentially, you're just asking us as a board to approve the selection.
Yes, sir.
That you've gone with. Just
yes, sir.
To keep everything going as we're helping facilitate the grant.
Yes, sir.
Are we okay with that? Take that Tuesday?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. Next is call for public hearing on FY 2022 budget. We'll go Tuesday night. We'll call for a public hearing in June. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Mr. Hill, occupancy tax ordinance modification. In our budget process, we spoke about increasing the occupancy tax for people that come through and stay in either Airbnbs, hotels, motels. So, Mr. Hill, if you would give some guidance on that.
Yes, Mayor. In 2015, I believe, we instituted the occupancy tax, or we call it hotel tax, setting it at 3.5%. By statute, we are actually by the public act that allowed us to do that, we were allowed to go up to 5%. So the board had expressed an interest in going to 5%. So I prepared a ordinance to do that. We've kind of been monitoring some proposed legislation in this year's General Assembly to determine if it would have any effect on it, and we'll kind of work through that. But I think we're good to go forward. The statute that allows a municipality to create a occupancy tax requires that it be passed on 2 readings. The statute does not address whether that's necessary to increase it, but again, in my discussions with the MTAS attorney, we kind of decided that maybe that was the more prudent course of action, just to do this in 2 different readings. So I would propose that we present the proposed ordinance on Tuesday, and assume if it passes Tuesday, bring it back in June for a second reading and passage.
Everybody good with that? Good. Okay. We'll go forward with that. You have a report on your iPads from Mr. Rozelle on finance. The only really other main thing was that the local option sales tax was $224,217.68 from April of this year, which was $27,000 more than last year, and 88% of what we have budgeted. They should begin payroll training on April 23rd. HR generalist interviews were scheduled for May 3rd. Office coordinator position was posted on April 23rd. So that was, any other questions under finance before we go to administration? Administration, Mr. Collins?
Yes, sir. A couple of updates on our 3 major projects in process right now. William D. Jones are expecting to re-coordinate the environmental and ecology division review, and they're expected back within 30 days, and this was dated May 3rd. They went to all the various departments on April 21st, and Patrick Garner, the specialist over the process, says it is standard review time, but he expects them back quicker. So on the LPRF, rock was hit on the site where the drainage goes across the multi-purpose and soccer fields. Initially, it was thought that it would take several days with some very expensive equipment, and they even reached out to check about the feasibility of blasting. But with a rock drum excavator, they were able to get it out in a day and a half. All the pipe and catch basins are installed and backfilled, and the contractor is working with the engineer to get us a change order price as quickly as possible. And lastly, movement has begun again on phase 2 of the Greenway. They are now asking for the updated bid book, which is a precursor to getting ready to get approval of all the environmental processes and able to be approved for construction. That's my update, Mayor.
Any questions under administration?
Could you give us an update on the fire chief search, Scott?
Yes, interviews are scheduled for, they've already been screened, and we had a meeting last week with MTAS, and interviews will be scheduled on May 24th.
Thank you.
How many interviews are you planning?
3 at this point.
Any other questions? I was going to ask Alderman Hartman, she's our representative on Main Street, to comment. We have our second First Friday, this Friday from 5 to 7, and if you give a few comments on what you know, and you told me before the meeting we have 50 plus vendors signed up.
Yes, Mayor. Currently, we had to suspend or stop our registration because we had reached our max capacity. We are currently at 52 vendors for this Friday. The weather looks good, so I think we're going to have a really good turnout. It's just very positive results and responses from the vendors and from the merchants and from local people attending. Also, I think maybe a neighboring city is trying to model their First Friday after us. And so it's just really going forth and doing very well. Main Street's doing a great job.
Thank you. Everyone come out and attend. That'd be great. Mr. Bryant, you had...
I did have a little bit. I wanted to kind of clear it up here. I wouldn't normally bring this up. It was an article in the Elevated Times last week. If it didn't have to do with the budget, I wouldn't bring it up. I normally don't. But since it's got to do with the budget, we just want to be sure that it's correct. Tom, I'm sorry, but you're not getting a $5,000 raise. I'm sorry about that. I don't know how it got published. The board did not approve you anything extra other than the normal 3% step raise. And if there's anything else going on, I've asked, and right now there isn't anything else going on. So I'm sorry about that. It's just probably not going to happen. Another thing I thought might help clarify things a little bit. Yes, we are adding a full-time position. That is correct to administration, but that was a part-time position already. So that part-time position is being upgraded to a full-time position, which is in fact to a higher pay grade, which it would be. So it's not like it's a complete full-time position. It is upgrading a part-time to a full-time with an upgraded pay scale. I just kind of wanted to clarify that. And there's one here I really need, I had to clarify this, or I did clarify this with the school board Tuesday night. It was reported in the Elevated Times, which was, the percentage was pretty well right, like a 3% that would be funding the school system this next coming year, which amounts to $26,929, which that would be correct within a few dollars what the paper had, within $2 or $3 really what the paper had. Now the school system didn't get anything the last 2 years, so this averages out about $8,900 per year the last 3 years. But where the kind of the problem was with that, it was quoted in the Times that that particular funding would go to raises, which looked like we were saying that would go to raises for the school system. Well, that's not true. We don't have anything to do with the raises that the school system gives. When we put this funding in place for our school systems, whatever we do, that funding goes into the general fund. The raises the school employees gets is already set. I mean, they're going to get the same amount whether they get anything in the city or not. So just to make it clear, those funds is not earmarked for any one thing. We don't even really have the authority to do that, which we wouldn't do that for raises anyway. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up a little bit. And there was also, I was quoted several times, which is right on target on all my quotes, except maybe for one. And I appreciate the fact that my quotes usually ends up pretty well on target. Because I'm a person that can end up with a bunch of quotes. And you couldn't put a lot more in here than what they did, just tell you the truth. But anyway, there's one quote in here attributed to me that I don't remember making. And I want to clear that up. Now, if I did and don't remember it, I apologize. I asked 3 different employees that was at that budget meeting, did I make this comment? They said no, and another alderman made this comment. And that comment was, and it really doesn't mean anything, it's just that I don't want a quote attributed to me. If I didn't make it and another alderman did, I don't want to take any kind of credit or anything for it. It was quoted in here that I said we can't dump a 15-cent property tax on the people after the year of COVID. I do believe that comment was made. I believe that comment was made by another alderman. I think there's a little mix up there, so I just want to kind of clarify that. Other than that, the comments that the Times put in that I made is right on target. They are, and I just kind of wanted to clarify that because that's got a little bit to do with the funding on the budgets, the difference in the full-time completely versus a part-time. Going full-time, it does have some difference. The poll Tom just got left out, and we apologize about that. And really, this is not anything other than just to kind of, since it's budgetary money we're talking about, kind of clear up some things. Now, the other 2 positions that was mentioned in the Times is in fact on target. They are. That's pretty well kind of how it was, how it's going to be, except for the fact that it was not mentioned, and there probably wasn't any reason to mention this. Those 2 employees, the other 2 employees is salaried employees right now. They will go to exempt, which means they can't get overtime anymore. Those 2 employees has traditionally had a heavy overtime schedule, and the city is trying to deal with overtime situations everywhere we possibly can. In making these changes, those 2 employees will no longer be able to get overtime. They will be an exempt employee, whatever the salary is. And when we kind of plugged in the overtime they've been getting, and we kind of worked it out, in some ways it's going to be kind of a wash, but I do believe that quite a bit of the overtime in one of those positions will go away, because I believe when we get this part-time employee full-time, I believe that employee will pick up some of that load and eliminate some of that overtime. So I just kind of wanted to, there wasn't any reason for that to be put in the paper really, but I kind of wanted to mention that. Since it's budget items, has to do with people's money and funding, I just kind of wanted to clarify that, just to be clear. And I certainly didn't want to take any kind of credit or whatever it would be for that comment about the property tax increase. That was a well thought out comment, but I don't believe it's my comment. So that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to bring forward?
I'll just respond to that, Alderman Bryant. And we did have a long, lengthy budget session and 2 meetings, and a lot of things were hashed out and come out. But I think these raises are, I voted against those because I don't see that we fixed the problem. We just included, that raise equaled the overtime. We didn't fix the problem. So instead of just fixing the problem, these people going to salary employees and no overtime being paid, we just gave them a raise that equaled their overtime. So really we are paying for their overtime, even though it won't be specifically reported as overtime. Before, it was comp time. We moved it from comp time to overtime. Now we've moved it from overtime to a pay raise. So I don't think that we fixed the problem. The money is still paid out, whatever you want to call it. So for that, I was against these increases, and I just want to make that statement.
All right, thank you. The last comment I'll make is last week Governor Lee signed Executive Order 80, lifting most of the COVID restrictions that were in place. Part of that was electronic meetings that were allowed for local governments or different nonprofit boards supported by local governments, so that there is no allowance for electronic meetings at the moment. And I will just leave it up to the board whether they want to go back to getting all snug and tight up here like we sat, or spacing out for a little bit longer. But I'll leave the board members to think about that and give me a response.
I would like to add that the CDC says, CDC says that no masks are required for people who have been vaccinated. But when you're coming together, you should be distanced. And if you get closer than that, you should have your mask on. So if we go back together, we should wear masks. But if nobody else wants to, I will have mine on.
Okay. Well, I guess
I do follow the CDC guidelines.
I understand.
It doesn't really matter to me. I just like reading more. If I get a chance to river a little bit,
You all will get in my lap, and that's I will have the mask.
I'd rather stay separate than wear a mask.
I'm fine either way.
This has worked, and so
They're just trying to get us in a little bitty room down here.
Exactly.
He says, I don't like being apart down here. I like to being all up close together, But it's working. Hey, it's working. It's working great.
that's right. We can keep it this way a little bit longer. So anyway, so that will adjourn this work session. We'll come back Tuesday night for this. Have a good day.
All righty.